Hey, what's up guys? So recently I spent a bunch of time making this animation that you can see on your screen now, and throughout this video, I'm going to walk you through how I did it. So the structure of this video is going to be a little bit different. Basically, I'm going to show you each what I like to call phase of making this animation, and each phase will have a theme around a certain tip that you guys can use in your own works. So I hope you guys are going to find this video valuable and inspiring as always. I was making art like this some years ago when I was in a sadder place in my life, so I hope that videos like this can kind of give you guys who may be going through something hard, kind of like almost an escape that is educational, maybe a little entertaining, and that you can get inspired by the story and learn something new. So let's get into it and start out with the first phase. Also guys, the character and the dog in this video were models that I made previously, so keep that in mind. And also, if you're someone who's new to Blender, you can check out some of my beginner tutorials on my channel, which you'll hopefully find helpful. Now let's get into this. Okay, so for phase number 1, let's talk about why deciding the lighting in the blockout is the most important part. So when initially creating our scene, picking a style of lighting is something that can actually make or break the piece. Here's why. This is what the scene would look like if we just threw a bunch of lighting on it and put no care into it. Pretty dull, right? This setup, with the windows on the left and light coming through to hit the center part of the piece, was totally intentional by me. You see, this type of lighting is beautiful because it draws the eye to the center of the piece very naturally, but since it's also being broken up by these window things creating this grid, it just makes it feel more detailed. In general, you want to pick a lighting style that's beautiful like this, and the best way to do that is by looking at pictures of different lighting scenarios that you find interesting. Do not skip this step, as failing to decide on a good lighting style for your scene will really hurt the quality. Alright guys, so with all of that explained, you can see now on your screen what I'm doing is kind of just setting up the base lighting for our scene, as well as kind of adding in the base colors. And of course, as I was saying, this is really important because this is going to be basically the skeleton of your work, you know? You're deciding the base colors as well as the lighting style. And so from this, all of the details are going to be built on top of this, rather than, you know, adding a bunch of details first and then deciding on the lighting later. It's much better to do it this way overall. And of course, throughout making this, I did play around with like different lighting styles and stuff like that, but generally in the beginning, you want to just pick one thing and sort of stick to it. Overall, of course, I wanted to keep my colors nice and warm overall, but that is something we are now going to talk about in the next phase. Okay, so for phase number 2, we're going to talk about how to achieve color harmony and light spreading and what that even is. So one thing that's different in stylized art like this is that we have complete control over the highlight and shadow colors in our scene. This is both a blessing and a curse because while it gives us a lot of control, you can easily forget certain things. Throughout making the scene, I frequently make sure to tint all the highlight colors to orange, and I do this by setting the blend mode to multiply, and I choose kind of like an orange color to multiply it by. There's also this concept of light spreading, which I use. Basically for a lot of the main pieces of the scene, like the bed and the pillows, I added a colored circular light to them, which basically allowed me to strengthen the lighting and have it spread a bit more from where the light was like directly hitting. Lastly, this was something I did much later down the line, but in the compositing tab you can actually use a mix node, set it to color, and then pick a color that you want. And what this is going to do, it's going to overall unify the colors of your scene. You could of course also use soft light or overlay instead, but for me I generally prefer to just use color. It kind of unifies things nicely overall. So yeah, I recommend you do the same. So at this point I started adding some more details to the scene, like these pots of flowers, or not flowers, kind of like leaves. Later they will be flowers though. And so you can see, just overall upgrading the detail at this point, adding more props, maybe adding some more detail to the objects themselves, scratches and things like that. And at this point, most of the scene was done being blocked out, which leaves us with the problem of bringing in the character. Okay, so now what we're going to do is bring the character into the scene, and for this phase I want to talk about why that changes everything. So as of now, we have a pretty decent mockup, but it's actually nowhere near being done because of the fact that we have to bring the character in. The issue with this is that alone will change the look of our scene, and we'll have to work on the visual development a lot more. Especially in a scene like this where she's moving a lot, it just requires a bit more care. So when I first brought her in, I knew I wanted her to kind of roll up like in this reference I was looking at, but just had to experiment a lot with the angle for her to be in. I tested multiple angles and styles as you can see here, but ultimately I figured out what was best was to just have her relatively facing the camera. Not too above, not too below, just kind of like in the center. And then after that, I had to match the colors of our character with the environment by making it more orange and sunrise lit overall. Now at this point, I wanted to start doing the animation, so let's talk about that. So before animating, what I like to do is gather references or even get up and record some. I then load them into Sync Sketch and make sure the video is on 25 FPS, which is close to what I use in Blender to start out with. Now guys, especially as solo animators or animators on a small team, we really need to just save ourselves some time. So here's how I save a lot of time when animating. Generally, I try to animate things on 3s, which means every 3 frames I add a new pose. There are some times, however, where I will animate on 2s, particularly in parts of the animation where there's fast movement, as you need the eye to be able to track the movement better in those areas, if that makes sense. However, the problem with this method is that for the areas you animate on 3s, they can just look a bit choppy in certain areas. So take for example this animation that I was working on in the past. It was totally on 3s, and while it looks cool, it can be a bit difficult to track her fast movement. So what I do to remedy this oftentimes is I use this tactic where I kind of break down around each 3 into 2s and then reduce the FPS of the scene a little bit to keep it in that choppy look, if that makes sense. That probably didn't make any sense, so now I'm going to show you a video of me doing it to explain it better to you guys. So let's say part of your animation was on 3s, right? So 32, 35, 38, or anything like that. To convert this into 2s, what you would do is go over here to 34, for example, hit Shift-E, and then go to 66, and then go after the frame that was in the middle of the first, second, and third 3, and do Shift-E and put this to 33%, which is going to give you 1/3. Then you just cut the one that is in the middle by deleting it, and boom, now you have something that is kind of on 2s. And so this is just a strategy I use sometimes to save a lot of time. Now guys, obviously there is a million different ways that you can approach animation, but I found that if you're trying to save time as someone who doesn't have like an entire giant team behind you, this is a great way to go. And especially for stylized works like this, I think animation and that's just like smooth, but also slightly choppy is just the way to go overall. Generally, my golden rule is kind of like 2s on 21 FPS or around that area will give you a great high quality result. So that's about the average that I use throughout making these scenes. Okay guys, so for this phase I want to talk about why you must remove ugly redness and what that even is. So basically in recent versions of Blender, oftentimes your scenes can get this ugly redness to them. You can see a little here, things are overall just kind of glaring red for some reason. There are multiple ways to fix this. One of the best ways is to go into your compositor and add an RGB curves node, and in the red channel you can decrease the redness in your scene, which will do the trick. You can also slide the influence at the bottom here, and also around certain areas where shadows are being cast, they also can get this ugly redness, and I found a good way to fix this in the newer versions of Blender is to increase the shadow step count. Honestly guys, if it were up to me, I'd still be using like Blender 4.1, but the only reason I'm using the newer versions of Blender is because I want to keep my add-ons as well as my masterclass up to date. So it's sort of just like a sacrifice for the people type of thing. Otherwise, I don't know, I feel like the older versions were just as good, if not better. Alright guys, so before we go any further, I just want to talk a little bit about my masterclass. I know that making scenes and characters like this can be quite intimidating if you're new to it, but don't worry, I've created a full program to take you from someone who is a beginner to being able to confidently create your own scenes, characters, and whatever you want. This masterclass covers all sorts of topics such as character creation, environment creation, scene creation, and animation, and there's just like so many different skills you're going to learn, so if that interests you, check it out in the description. Alright, back to the video. Okay guys, so now for the next phase, I want to talk about a trick to make your scenes look way better. If you look at our scene currently, at this point we've added a lot to our scene and naturally we've kind of gone backwards in terms of visual quality. So I want to do what's called decluttering the lighting and the scene itself, and I hope you'll learn a lot from this. Alright, so basically the lighting is mostly drawing attention here, which means in this area we want things to be clear and detailed but not super cluttered with all this mess. So what I did was make this area a bit less covered by the leaves, and also around the bed frame I'd actually just manually remove some shadows in this area, so the whole bed frame in this part will be more clear visually, and also less cluttered with all of those high contrast shadows that were there before, which I think overall helped things to look better and feel more clear. I use the add light feature in the stylized asset suite add-on, which lets you manually draw back in light in certain areas. And so yeah, that is it for that phase. Let's go to the next. Alright guys, so we now have the main scene done, not completely done, but most of it blocked out, so now I want to start setting up the other scenes. I added in the animations that I worked on earlier, and I made the camera basically have a different position for each scene. There was some overall work to be done because the outlines were now too big since we were zoomed in, and I had to adjust her clothes a little to match the pose a bit better. I even made shape keys to block some of the lighting in the scene, which was really interesting. It's just a cool tactic you can use to kind of create interesting lighting scenarios for your art. And overall, I also worked on compositing a little bit. Once again, you can check out my previous video where I talk about some compositing tips and stuff like that I even use in these works, so definitely check that out. Now for scene 2, I actually just totally improvised the dog animation here with no reference because I didn't want to spend a bunch of time looking for any here, so that was just something I did to kind of save time a bit. After all, it was just a simple animation. And I think without adding this, it wouldn't have been clear enough as to what was happening in the next scene where she plays with the dog. Now I also want to talk about why you have to test angles. So for the next scene, which is the dog and her playing, I had to test multiple different angles until I found something that I liked. It's important to do this because you may as well just spend a little extra time testing and picking the angle that looks coolest, especially if you're making something on your own and want to save time. You may as well try like all the different possible permutations and just see what looks nicest. Now for scene 4, this one was simpler and was just her sitting on the bed using a lighter, nothing too much to say here. I made the smoke appear using shape keys and a noise texture, and that's something I talked about more in my previous video as well. Okay, now for the final phase, which is basically just final touches. Of course, one thing I had to do with this phase was finish out the animations, so I did that and worked on them a lot more, getting the in-betweens done mainly. After that, of course, there were some miscellaneous things I did, like adding in a smoke animation that I made for her to blow out the smoke, which was very customizable, and actually in my previous video I talked a bit about smoke animation and how you guys can do it, so check that out if you need to. I also added in a train video as well to put outside her window, which I thought looks cool. I added jiggle physics as well to her hair and also the dog's ears, which I did all by using my Windy Armature add-on, which allows you to add overlapping action to bones very easily. One other thing I did was I custom adjusted the lighting in certain areas that I thought it looked ugly, so that was just a very impactful change that helped me to keep things in that 2D style overall. Alright guys, so now with everything added up, here is the final result. So overall, this was a pretty fun project, I would say. Actually, there's another character that I'm making that is going to kind of like interact with this character, so overall this was kind of more like a test scene type of thing. And hopefully, in the next few videos, you guys are going to see a new character that I reveal, and we're going to kind of like have them in the same universe. It's going to be cool, so stay tuned for more animation and more educational content like this. And yeah guys, if you want to see the prequel to this video, you can kind of see this video on my channel. And with that, hope you guys have an awesome day. I'll see you next time.